A couple of weeks ago, we wrote and read our eulogies for the Jets. Today, they're in the cemetery and we put them in the grave. Goodbye to the 2024 New York Jets. After losing 31-6 to the Cardinals, they fall to 3-7 on this pitiful, embarrassing, lackluster season. And we put an end to them next on the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Jets Fight Club. The sickest New York Jets podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back to the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio, at Sick Pod Jets. Make sure you smash that thumbs up on YouTube for us, not for the stupid Jets. And comment below, what do you think of this miserable team and this game that wasn't a National Football League game? It was the NFL versus the circus. It was the pros versus, I can't even call them the Joes. They're worse than the Joes because at least the Joes competed against the pros. The Joes lacked energy. The Joes were not prepared to play, according to their head coach. The Joes said they had a good week of practice. It's the Jets and the Joes, and the X's and the O's were pitiful. This team was dead in the water from the opening kickoff. 70-yard touchdown drives from the Arizona Cardinals. The Jets played flag football in Arizona. After an extra layover after the Thursday game, a couple extra days off, you thought they'd come out fresh and ready to go. You thought wrong. So much so that Las Vegas made the Jets favorites. Favorites! That's got to be the funniest line of the year. Favorites! The Giants were 6.5-point favorites in Germany. They lose in overtime. The Jets were 1.5-point favorites in Arizona. They get shellacked 31-6. From one side of the world to the other, East Rutherford, Northern New Jersey, you want to call it New York football, is completely down the crapper. And on November 10th, we write the eulogy for both these miserable football teams. Hey, Woody, get on the first flight to London and stay there. Go join your buddy Trump. Go to London and see you never. Sell the team. From top to bottom, the dysfunction continues. The owner, he sucks. He's making TV appearances, all these political statements in the midst of a season where the Jets are 3-6, now 3-7, and been a laughing stock of the league. He's doing whatever he wants. The head coach gets fired by GM Aaron Rodgers. They get a new play caller. That didn't make a difference. They get Devontae Adams. He's dropping balls left and right. That didn't make a difference. Hassan Reddick showed up so he could collect checks and not play football. That didn't make a difference. Him and his 2 total tackles, one of them being solo today on that box score. The only Jet that came to play today was Jamie Sherwood. Everyone else should have stayed on the flight. They should have stayed home. They shouldn't even come. The Jets threw the towel in before the game started. Sherwood, 17 tackles. Somebody had to accumulate tackles because Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner, forgot how to make tackles because he's too busy on Kick and Twitch and streaming and whatever the hell he's doing online. that he forgot how to tackle. The Jets were so busy celebrating last weekend in the streets of New York City when they beat the Texans that they realized that might be their final win for a very long time. And at least they didn't show up today. At least they reminded us and brought us back to planet Earth of this team just sucking. JTS just end the season. And now they ended it. Just for the eternal, and when I mean eternal, I mean you got to be smoking crack optimist. The Jets would have to go 7-0 to now make the P word, and that's playoffs. I hate even, that's the only time I'll mention the P word on this show. I'll say poop, I'll say pussy, I'll say party, but I ain't saying PLAY. It rhymes with Hoffs. I ain't saying that word because they don't deserve it. They don't care. Biggest halftime deficit of the season. Aaron Rodgers, once again, nothing in the first half. 7 for 11, 40 yards. He had 32 yards in the first half against the Texans last game on Thursday Night Football. Devonta Adams, 0 receptions in the first half. Kyler Murray was 17 of 19 for 199 and a touchdown in the first half. Trey McBride was stiff-arming Ahmad Gardner. 3 catches, 48 in the first half. Marvin Harrison, 4-48. 1 touchdown in the first half. They shouldn't even play the second half. That's how bad this game was. And the 2 times the Jets were close, they ended up with a field goal and then shut out in the second half. And the defense is terrible. Let's start there. This was on the defense today. The defense is a disgrace. They can't make tackles. Kyler was 22 of 24 for 266. I mean, are you kidding me? Trey Benson. Who is Trey Benson? 10 for 62. The Cardinals used 5 different backs, one of them being Kyler, 3 for 21, 32 for 147, another carving just in time for Thanksgiving by their run game. 406 yards to 207. Time of possession, 33 to 27. For once, the Jets had less penalties than their opponent. They had 3. The Cardinals had 5. But when you look at the yardage, nearly double the passing yards, nearly double the running yards, nearly double the first downs, nearly double the yards per play, nearly double total yards. You would think the Jets just got McDoubled and this game was sponsored by McDonald's. But there ain't no Grimace coming to save these Jets. There's a lot of coal coming because it's a cold world. Out in Florham Park, out in East Rutherford. So someone tweeted me, they need 2 tickets for next week. Or Jets cold. Tickets will be $1. People won't be able to give away Jet tickets. Yet this franchise had the audacity to raise prices next season for season ticket holders. Imagine that. Imagine raising ticket prices for a team that's the laughing stock of the sport. For a team whose head coach had the audacity to say, and he was right saying it because they clearly weren't, they were not prepared to play, and that falls on my shoulders. And I don't want to hear that firing the head coach, the Jets defense would have been better if it was solid. I don't think that's the case. I just think these guys suck. And yeah, there's some injuries. Quinnen got hurt in this game. You know, they've been out without Jermaine Johnson. Hassan Reddick has just been a complete waste of money and was a god-awful trade. And it's a sinking ship. And, you know, earlier this week or last week, whenever it was when Joe Douglas spoke, I believe it was earlier this week, trade deadline, and he talked about we're at the hands of our owners. That shows you it's a disaster. Like, firing Saleh was not Douglas' decision. That was clearly Woody Johnson. And a lot of these decisions come from Woody. And Woody thinks he's a football guy, and he's not. Listen, I don't think that made a difference. I think Saleh's here. They're probably still the same record. Like, Saleh was a clueless head coach. Ulbrich clearly isn't ready to be a head coach yet. He was better as a defensive coordinator. He can't do both. Probably should give up the play calling for the rest of the year at this rate. But what else can he do? What else can he blame? Let's give this guy the play call. At this point, just start Tyrod Taylor. I mean, I talked about the defense, how bad it was. I talked about the coaching, how bad it was. We got to stop absolving Aaron Rodgers of blame because he hasn't been good. His body language hasn't been good. Clearly, guys in that locker room don't love Aaron Rodgers like we all thought they did. The slow-mo videos, the Rodgers is so amazing, blah, blah, blah. He has regressed, and he's no longer a Pro Bowl quarterback. Point blank, period. We could blame everyone offensive line. They're banged up. Tyron Smith got hurt in this game. Olufashanu came in there. We could blame the drops from the receivers, from Devontae. The only one really balling out there is Garrett Wilson. And you could see when he left the field and went into the locker room, like, this guy he's getting sick of it here. And the Jets may lose out on Garrett. Like, once Garrett Wilson's contract's up, he probably wants to get the hell out of here. And can you blame him? Why would anyone want to play with this team? Why? They're pathetic. I said it on the Patriot game. This was the ultimate. I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm going to be honest. I don't think, I think next Sunday could be the finale of the show. I think Thanksgiving will set off the end. I just don't know if they're not worth the time, my time right now. I'm working on getting a job, hopefully finalizing a job this week. Fingers crossed. We'll see. But it's not worth the energy. It's embarrassing. And, I mentioned the P word before. You think this team could go 7-0? They can't even win a game. Like, even the Colts game looks daunting, and thank God that got flexed back to 1 o'clock. Joe Flacco was awful today, but he'll probably still beat the Jets, and that'll be the final nail in the coffin. This is the funeral. This is it. But getting to the 8th loss is the finale. That's the boom goes the dynamite. That's your dead. But this was really the funeral. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they looked awful. From start to finish, they were getting shredded. They were missing tackles. They looked like they wanted to be anywhere else but there. First drive, 70 yards, easy. Short pass, James Conner, boom, 7-0. Jets first drive, they move the ball down the field. They get in the red zone. Shocker, they can't find the end zone, 7-3. Second Cardinals drive, again from the 30. Bing, bang, boom. McBride tearing him up. Connor, Harrison, Betts. You get yards. You get a touchdown. You get a first down. You get a catch. You get a nice run. You break a tackle. I mean, it's Oprah's 12 days of Christmas when you play the Jets. The Cardinals didn't really need a get-right game. They're now 6-4 and, have a really good shot of making the playoffs the way they're playing. They didn't need a get-right game, but, man, the Jets will get you right. They might as well do commercials mocking them at this point. The Jets are like Ozempic. Like, you'll lose your weight. You'll get your yards. You'll get your touchdowns. You'll get your Pro Bowl status. If I'm a team, I let any kind of rookie, any guy who wants to get their first touchdown, get their first catch, activate them all when you play the Jets. Because no matter who you are, I'm convinced I play running back and get through this Jets defense. They're undisciplined. I've never seen a defense so undisciplined, miss so many tackles. I mean, Ahmad Gardner, let's be real, overrated, overhyped. He's been a large shell of himself this season. And Aaron Rodgers, if you're a Jet fan, and let me know at Jake Brown Radio, you comment on this video if you're watching live. Do you want Aaron Rodgers back next season? Because as the weeks go by, the less and less I want to see this guy ever again in a Jet uniform. And I know it's not all on him. I talked about how bad the defense, the coaching is, and everything top to bottom. But as I said, it starts up top. And if you go down the list, it goes owner, which has been a disaster. Joe Douglas will be getting fired. Ulbrich will either be getting fired or back to defensive coordinator, but probably fired because they'll probably bring in a whole new regime, new coach, new coordinators. You know, Hackett will be out the door, hopefully, although if Rodgers stays, he'll probably have some role sitting up in the press box, whatever he's doing. I don't know what Nathaniel Hackett even does anymore. And then after coaches, the next guy it falls on is the quarterback. And if the energy's not there, the effort's not there, it falls on the quarterback. And I think a lot of this is on Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers is effectively getting everyone hyped up and getting the guys ready out there. And I don't think he cares anymore. You thought this would be a good week for him. His president won. You thought he'd be you thought he'd be balling out this week. You thought he'd be so happy. Instead, he was so crappy. He went from happy on Tuesday to crappy on Sunday. The Aaron Rodgers story. Don't worry. He's got his Netflix comeback special coming out. Imagine that comeback special coming out next month, whenever the hell it is, first week of December. And the Jets are sitting here at like 3-9 or 3-10, whatever the date is. They got the Colts, the bye, and I said Thanksgiving weekend. They can't ruin your Thanksgiving day, but they do play Thanksgiving weekend. I forgot that Thanksgiving's the last couple days of November. Then December 1st they play. They got 2 home games coming up. This team is 3-7. It's going to be a bloodbath for them. They're going to be getting booed like crazy. And if they want to magically save their season, it starts with winning those 2 and then hitting the road and winning in Miami. And then, hey, you're staying in Florida, winning in Jacksonville, and then back home, win against the Rams, and then off to Buffalo, win against Buffalo, and then home against the Dolphins, beat the Dolphins. Boom, you make the P word. They got to go 7-0. This team can't go 1-0, let alone 7-0. And it's unfortunate because the Broncos lost. The miraculous Chiefs find a way to win again. The Colts lost. The Bengals lost. All the other results were setting up in your favor. And all you had to do is take care of business. Taking care of business. In the words of Bachman Turner Overdrive. And the Jets couldn't do the one thing they had to do. And they haven't been able to do it all year. They let one win over the Texans on a Thursday night, a banged-up Texans team, fool you. And you feel better almost that they got blown out because they let you know we suck and we're cooked. Because week after week, we kept saying, man, they should have won that Broncos game, lost by a point. Man, they should have won that game in London, lost by 6. They had the ball chance to win it. And they threw it to Mike Williams, who, by the way, caught the go-ahead touchdown for the Steelers today. The Bills, you lose by 3, a game where Greg Zuerlein misses every field goal in sight. The Patriots, you lose by 3, missed field goals, missed extra points. Now this one, we could say, you know what? They just suck. Blown out by the Cardinals, blown out by the Steelers, blown out by the Patriots. 3 blowout losses make this disgraceful season easier to stomach. Because if they were to lose again today by, say a field goal, or they miss field goals or a pick six or whatever it is, we would have said, oh man, this team's right there. But them getting blown out made us say they're not there. And they're nowhere near playing football past January 5th, which is the season finale. They're nowhere near playing football around Martin Luther King Day. They're nowhere near playing football around Valentine's Day. Because they won't sniff a Super Bowl. And they might not sniff one in our lifetime. They need a change. They just need an utter cleaning of this entire franchise. Woody needs to sell the damn team. Like, him going to London, whatever, ambassador, whatever the hell he does over there for this president, whatever he does, they need to just absolve the whole family. Like, I'll pass it on to Chris. It's still in the family. Woody's texting him every move. Just move on from the family. Sell it. Cash out, go on an island, and go away. New owner, new GM, new coach, new quarterback. Just clean house. Because it's rotten. It is rotten from the top. And if you don't think it starts with the owner, you don't know football. And you don't know this franchise. Because that's exactly where it starts. And the whole thing is just rotten. And we thought Rodgers would be the savior. And instead, he's just given us even more misery. All the jerseys. Thank God I didn't get a Rodgers jersey. The only one who deserves getting a jersey is Garrett Wilson. Because he goes out there and plays his ass off every week. He makes ridiculous catches. And what does this team do for him? They just keep losing. All they do is lose, lose, lose no matter what. And I'm tired of it, man. I'm just wasting energy even talking about this disgraceful team. 31-6. Jets fall to 3-7. Cardinals improve to 6-4, and their playoff hopes are cooked. I said the P word again. I wish I didn't say it. 7-0 it would take, folks. So if you're an eternal optimist or you just take a lot of hard drugs, I guess, 7-0 will get it done. It would be the biggest turnaround in the history of sports, and it's not even close. But that thought has exited my mind because today's loss, if they won today, you were believing. If they won today, that get to 4-6, and when you look at the standings, they're right there. They would be right there. I believe they would have been tied for the 7th seed. If they were 4-6, you had the Bills, Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Ravens, Texans. They would have been about a game out or a half game out. They would be 4-6. One game out, sorry. 4-6. Broncos 5-5 is the 7th. But it doesn't matter. It's a moot point because they lost. Goodbye to the 2024 New York Jets. And, this is the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club. I'm Jake Brown at Jake Brown Radio. And that'll do it. I got nothing else to say. Bad tackling, bad football, unwatchable, nauseating. They traded Mike Williams. He scores the go-ahead touchdown. He couldn't do jack you-know-what here. And, we thought they'd give Irv Charles, Malachi Corley, and Xavier Gibson a shot. And Charles, Corley, and Gibson combined for one target. One catch, 2 yards. 3 receivers, 1 catch, 1 target, 2 yards. He's not finding the tight ends. Rucker had 2 catches. Conklin had 1 garbage time catch. No one's getting involved. He's trying to find Devontae, and he's either not there or catching it for -1 yards. It's Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and a bunch of bodies. And the quarterback's cooked. The offensive line's cooked. These other receivers are cooked. And this season is officially toast. Good night to the New York Jets. And thanks for listening and watching the Sick Podcast, Jets Flight Club. Have a good one, everybody. Stay safe out there.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Jets Fight Club on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.